Well everybody, not even 3 months since Apple unveiled and launched the brand new iPhone Air category, it looks like they're at least indefinitely suspending and possibly completely canceling the iPhone Air. Let's talk about it. Well, even though there seems to be a niche group of people who absolutely adore the iPhone Air, very similar to those same people that adored the iPhone mini lineup, it looks like Apple for now is suspending the iPhone Air 2. It was originally reported that the iPhone Air 2 was going to be released alongside the iPhone 18 lineup and the 18 Pro, as well as the iPhone Fold that should be coming out in the fall of 2026, but there have been reports that this is actually going to be suspended for a little while longer and suspended indefinitely. There was a secondary report that came out saying that Apple will be coming out with the iPhone Air 2 still, but not until the spring of 2027, meaning that it's going to be following a new staggered release approach, which is something that we did foreshadow earlier on this year, where Apple's no longer going to be going on a year-to-year basis with all of their phones. Of course, we're still going to have the main lineup of iPhones with the 17, the 18, the 19, but then there's also the iPhone SEs of the world, and now the iPhone Airs of the world, and now the iPhone Folds of the world, where these phones maybe need a little bit longer of a cycle in order to be refreshed, and I think the iPhone Air falls into that category. So it looks like we still will be getting an iPhone Air 2, but there's two big reasons why Apple's going to delay it further than releasing in September of 2026 and delaying it till spring of 2027. The first thing is that they want to add a secondary camera to it, and to fit a secondary camera in there probably needs to be some decent advancements in tech in terms of being able to size everything down and still fit it inside of that camera plateau without having to jeopardize more battery, which is something that, again, the iPhone Air is going to struggle with naturally because of the physics that go with this size and the thinness of this phone. I'll be the first to tell you that while the battery life in real world use is not amazing, for most people it should still get you through an entire day of use. Again, if you're using your phone for 8 to 10 hours a day, no, it's not going to get you through the day, but if you're using it for 5 to 6 hours a day, then you could get to the end of the day with maybe 10% battery and still be okay. If you are a power user, you know who you are, go get yourself an iPhone 17 Pro Max, or go get yourself an iPhone 17 with some sort of backup battery case to make sure it'll last you the whole day. But that is the iPhone Air, and that's what's going on with that one in that sense when it comes to that secondary camera, because people want their ultra-wide lens. The second thing is that Apple wants to include the vapor chamber that's in the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max and somehow fit it into this iPhone Air. The vapor chamber has been outstanding for the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. It keeps the iPhone cool, it doesn't dim the screen whenever it gets hot in outside daylight, it makes the battery life be much more efficient, and it's able to sustain those powerful loads much longer. For instance, with my 16 Pro Max, if I were to record in 4K for an extended period of time, the iPhone would start to diminish in battery life, it would start to get warm to the touch, and if I was outside on a hot day recording in 4K and doing a bunch of stuff, my iPhone battery would cook and cook super fast. Whereas the 17 Pro and Pro Max with that vapor chamber has seen some substantial upgrades in terms of efficiency, so bringing that over to the iPhone Air to give us even a little bit more battery life is something that a lot of people are going to want. So be on the lookout for more of this stuff coming down the line when it comes to the iPhone Air 2 coming in spring of 2027. But now, one of the great byproducts of Apple releasing the iPhone Air is that they no longer have to kind of fit and form and worry about thinness and weight when it comes to the Pro model level iPhones, as well as the regular model iPhones. For instance, for the normal everyday person, the entry-level iPhone will always be the entry-level iPhone. It's going to be a great bang for buck type of iPhone, especially now that it has the ProMotion display and a lot of those kind of pro level features that were saved for the Pro models. And then you have the iPhone Air, which is for those people that care more about sleekness, about aesthetic, about thinness, about form factor. And then finally, the Pro models can finally just be Pro models, right? They can be heavier, they can be thicker, they can have bigger batteries, they can have bigger cameras, because Apple now has a phone for the people that want something that's a lot smaller and thinner. And all that's going to be kind of focused on when it comes to the iPhone 18 lineup, the 18 Pro and the 18 Pro Max. For instance, the camera bump will be a little bit bigger next year because Apple is going to be adding a variable aperture to the main sensor of the iPhone, which is going to add a little bit of size, but still, it'll be okay because people that are going towards the Pro model iPhones are okay with that because they're getting Pro level features. Same thing goes with the ability to get a little bit thicker. So the iPhone is actually going to be the heaviest iPhone of all time, with the iPhone 18 Pro Max being 240 grams and also being thicker at the end of the day to fit a larger battery. And then another big leak that came out is that Apple did come up with this kind of polarizing two-tone design, which I personally like with the 17 Pro and Pro Max, but it looks like they're going back to kind of a more minimal look where the two-tone design isn't really there anymore, where it's all just one back glass, kind of how we had in previous years. I kind of like the two-tone design. It gives it a little bit of character, something a little bit different, but it looks like Apple might be going back where the outline is still going to be there for the two-tone, but it's still going to be, the colors are going to be much closer to each other versus two kind of big different shades of the same color. So as I said, one big amazing thing of the iPhone Air is that now those Pro model iPhones can be Pro model iPhones without having to sacrifice size, because they had to appease a bunch of different people in a bunch of different demographics and a bunch of different buyers. But now there seems to be an iPhone for every type of buyer moving forward, where you have your best bang for buck value iPhone, you have your aesthetic iPhone, and then you have your Pro iPhone. And then another big thing that happened this week with Apple is that Mark Gurman did report that the M5 Mac Mini, as well as the M5 Mac Studio, should be releasing in the middle of next year. So when it comes to the Mac Mini, the redesign already happened last year with the M4 Mac Mini, and if you guys want to see the video that I recently came out with of my 1 year later review, definitely check that out. I'll leave a link down below because it is a powerhouse and the best bang for buck that you can ever have in any type of computer. And the M4 Mac Mini will still hold up years later, but the M5 Mac Mini should be around the corner in the middle of next year, same with the Mac Studio. And alongside the M5, we should be getting the M5 Pro to be put into and upgraded in the Mac Mini, as well as an M5 Pro in the Mac Studio, and most likely an M5 Max as well. When it comes to the mid-year kind of release date, it is kind of normal for Apple to do that, but it's also going to coincide with possibly a new first-party display to replace either the XDR display or the Studio display, or both of them, because again, at this point, that Pro Display XDR I think is 6 to 7 years old now, and it's still $5,000, and the Studio display now is about 3 or 4 years old, starting at around $1,700. So do keep that in mind that we should be getting a good mid-year refresh next year for the actual Macs in the world, and all the peripherals that come with it. But those are all the things to take note of that happened this week in the Apple world, and I wanted to keep you guys up to date on a weekly basis on what's going on in the world of Apple, from iPhones to iPads to Macs to software and everything in between. But that'll do it for this video. If you guys did make it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, click on one of these videos right here. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everyone.